And then we have Armor of Agathys, the Warlock exclusive, amazing spell. I've always loved this spell, but now it's even better. So basically how the spell worked in the 2014 rules is as a full action, you give yourself 5 temporary hit points as you put ice armor on your body. Now, every time someone hits you with an attack, as long as you maintain those temporary hit points that you got from this spell, they take 5 damage. And every time you upcast this spell, it goes up in temporary hit points and it goes up in damage. So for example, let's say you cast this at level 5, you get 25 temporary hit points. If someone deals 10 damage to you, they still take 25 points of cold damage until the temporary hit points run out. Now, if you get temporary hit points from another effect, then the spell ends if you choose to accept those temporary hit points. This was a really popular spell, and a lot of people really like this spell, but it still required a full action, and so sometimes it felt bad. It did last a whole hour though, so you could cast this outside of combat when you are expecting combat to happen soon. This was a good spell, but they made it even better. So they changed the casting time to a bonus action. Besides that, it essentially works the same, except for one other factor. Now, as long as you have any temporary hit points, the spell effect remains. So let's say you cast at 5th level, you got 25 temporary hit points, and let's say you take 24 points of damage. So you have 1 temporary hit point left. Then you cast False Life, and you get 8 temporary hit points back. Now, if you take 7 damage, they still take 25, and you still have Armor of Agathys up. So yeah, this spell went from good to great. So yeah, I would say it went from a B to an A. It was already pretty good and they made it even better. I would say it's definitely a high A too. It's not quite an S for me, but if I ever play a Warlock again, I'm definitely gonna use this spell way more often than I did previously. And I could see many people taking a multi-class to gain access to this spell. There's a very famous Barbarian Warlock multi-class that uses this spell very effectively, and now it's even better.